This is the robot vacuum that let me forget about vacuuming for weeks and still come home to clean floors. I set a schedule once, and most of the time I do not think about it again. The Roborock Q5 Plus sits in that sweet spot of robot vacuums with a self-empty dock. It is for people who want real hands-free cleaning, not just a gadget that does a lap and begs for attention. If you are busy, if you have a mix of floors and carpets, if you have kids or pets that trail crumbs and hair everywhere, this is the kind of tool that actually stays out of your way and does the job. The design matters because it changes how you live with it day to day. The dock is a compact tower with a ramp that guides the robot into place, and the angle makes docking smooth even if it comes in a little offline. Inside the tower there is a disposable bag that captures everything the robot has collected. Roborock claims it can hold weeks of debris, and in my home I got around 4 to 6 weeks before I swapped the bag, closer to 4 when my dog was shedding. Pulling the bag is clean and simple. Slide it out, it seals itself, drop a new one in, and that is it. On the robot, the top lid flips up to a removable dust bin and filter. I almost never touch that bin anymore because the dock empties it after every run, but it is there if you want a vacuum without the dock for some reason. 2 physical buttons on top can start a clean or send it home, though I mostly use the application because it is more flexible. Around the front there is a cushioned bumper, and on top there is a small dome where the laser sits. That laser maps my rooms, even in the dark, which means it does not wander randomly. Flip it over and you see a single rubber main brush that does not tangle as easily as bristled ones, a single side brush that flicks dirt out of edges, and sturdy wheels that climb thresholds in my place without drama. Setup was fast. I parked the dock against a wall near an outlet, gave it a little breathing room on the sides, and plugged it in. The application walks you through pairing over your home wireless internet, and it took just a few minutes. There is a scannable square code under the lid if you want to jump right to it. I ran a quick mapping pass to let it learn the layout. It zipped around faster than a normal clean and built a surprisingly accurate floor plan. From there I labeled rooms, set no-go zones under cords and behind a plant that tends to shed leaves, and built a schedule. I set the main clean to run late morning on weekdays, and a smaller zone clean under the dining table after dinner. I named levels for upstairs and downstairs, and when I carry the robot to another floor, the dock recognition and map switching take care of themselves once it starts cleaning. Everything in the application responds quickly. If I change a room name or drag a divider, the map updates right away. If I hit pause, the robot stops within a second or two. If I hit resume, it picks up without confusion. Performance is what made me keep using it past the honeymoon week. The Q5 Plus runs in straight lines with tight overlap, not the chaotic pattern cheaper robots use. It edges along baseboards, then fills in a room in neat rows, and it rarely leaves random islands of untouched space. On my hardwood in the kitchen and hallway, I see a clear difference along the plank seams. Grit that used to catch glare in afternoon light is gone. On a medium pile rug in the living room, it lifts pet hair that my manual vacuum would catch too, but here is what stood out. The rubber brush on this robot gets less hair wrapped around it, and when it does, the brush pops out in seconds. I do a quick pull on the ends and it is clean again. The robot automatically boosts suction when it senses carpet. I do not spend time changing modes from room to room. Noise is a very real factor if you work from home. On the balanced cleaning level, which is what I use most days, I can still take calls in another room with the door open. On maximum, it is louder, but I save that for when I am not here. The self-empty event at the dock is a short burst of noise. It sounds like a strong shop vacuum for a handful of seconds, and then it is done. If you have a sleeping baby or a dog that hates vacuums, you can schedule around that or turn off auto empty for late night runs. Real-life tests show where a product stumbles, and I did not go easy on this one. I scattered dry cereal on tile in the kitchen and tracked in fine sand from the backyard. I sprinkled coffee grounds near baseboards and let a handful of pet kibble fall under the dining table. One pass on balanced power collected the cereal and the sand completely. Coffee grounds along the baseboard took a second pass, which the robot did on its own as it finished the edge routine. The pet kibble was mixed. Smaller pieces went up fine. Larger ones sometimes got batted by the side brush, just far enough that they needed another pass. That is normal for robots with a spinning side brush, and a spot clean fixed it. Corners are always tricky for round robots. The Q5 Plus gets close, and the side brush helps, but it will not scrape a true corner the way a rectangular manual vacuum head can. I kept a small handheld vacuum for those once-in-a-while moments. On thresholds, it handled the transition strips and a chunky rug edge that sits about the height of a thick finger. Taller than that, and it hesitated, so if you have very high lips into a sunroom, check your measurements first. Dark rugs were not a problem in my space. Cliff sensors did not get confused, and it did not avoid them. One specific use case where it shines is kitchen duty after dinner. I have it scheduled to do a zone clean that covers under the dining table and the high traffic strip in front of the sink. The robot leaves the dock, cuts straight to that area, does the edges around chair legs without dragging them, and works the crumbs out from under the table over about 10 minutes. When it docks, the debris is gone from the floors and I did not have to pull out a broom. That routine alone made it feel like an actual helper rather than a toy. Another scenario that surprised me was night cleaning. Because it uses a laser to map and navigate, it does not need the lights on. I ran a full house clean with the lights off, and it traced the exact same neat lines as during the day without hunting around. There are some smart touches that make day-to-day life easier. Room-based cleaning is simple. If I spill flour in the kitchen, I tap the kitchen on the map and it just goes there. I set cleaning intensity per room, so the entryway gets a stronger pass than the guest room that barely sees traffic. No-go zones and invisible walls are honored perfectly. I drew a rectangle around a tangle of charging cables near the sofa, and the robot treats it as a real wall. The resume and recharge behavior is reliable. On a large run, if the battery runs down, it heads back, charges for a while, and then returns to the exact spot where it left off. I like that the mapping is fast and stable. I have moved a few pieces of furniture, and the robot adapts without wiping the whole map. Routine maintenance is light. I tap the filter against a trash can every couple of weeks and replace it when it looks tired. The roller brush comes out without tools for a quick clean. Bags in the dock last me a month or more, depending on shedding season. It is not perfect. Cables and thin sock straps will still snag the brush, because this model does not try to visually identify and avoid small objects. A quick 5-minute tidy before a run avoids that. The dock is not tiny, and you will want to give it a little breathing room. If you push it into a tight nook, the robot can miss the alignment and nudge its way in, which is not ideal. The robot is not ultra-low profile. If your sofa sits very close to the floor, measure the clearance. It might not fit under the lowest furniture. Very large crumbs, like a full piece of dry dog food the size of a marble, can get pushed a bit by the side brush. In practice, it gets them on a second pass or during the next schedule. None of these are deal breakers, but they are the kind of quirks you notice when you live with a product and rely on it every day. Who should consider the Roborock Q5 Plus? If you want a robot that maps accurately, cleans in straight lines, empties itself, and needs very little attention, this is it. If you have a busy household with a mix of hard floors and area rugs, or pets that shed, it fits right in. If you want a robot that also mops, this is not the one. If your home is full of loose cables and tiny toys scattered all the time, you may want to look for something that focuses on object avoidance or make peace with a quick pre-clean. For everyone else, this strikes a strong balance between reliability, simplicity, and real cleaning. That is my experience with the Roborock Q5 Plus robot vacuum with self-empty dock. I have used it long enough to trust it on a schedule, and I rarely think about vacuuming anymore. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your questions or your own experiences. Thank you for watching.